Please be seated. Good morning. On this beautiful, rainy Pittsburgh day, you have the full Pittsburgh experience for our visitors. I am Dr. Oliver Hall, Associate Dean of Master's Programs, Associate Professor of Organization Theory, Strategy, and Entrepreneurship at the Tepper School of Business. It is my great pleasure to welcome the Tepper School Specialized Master's Class of 2026 and their guests to this diploma ceremony. I'm honored to be here to celebrate what you've accomplished and what you've given up to be here today. If you'd bear with me one last time, I have a final lesson for you. Don't worry, there won't be a test. You've already passed it. Economists categorize some goods as credence goods, and I've spent much of my career considering the dynamics around such goods. These are goods or services whose quality is difficult to know even as they are being consumed. Examples include a visit to the doctor, vitamin supplements, or education like a university course or program. In completing your degree, you have just consumed a credence good. This means that the nature of education makes assessing its quality sometimes difficult. There's many instances where you can measure what you've learned pretty clearly. And in your programs, there's many of these. These measures do not capture the entirety of what you have learned, though. There is far more learning that happens than is ever recognized. You came to the Tepper School from different starting points, different places, different countries, and different undergraduate disciplines. Many of you crossed an ocean, took out loans, worked more than one job, and deferred other opportunities to pursue this degree. The intensity of what you've been taken on in a compressed time frame, often just 1 year, is a sacrifice that deserves a return. And as you wrestled through machine learning models, financial derivatives, or the demands of a capstone project and a job search running simultaneously, and with deadlines that did not care about your other obligations, you learned how to persevere in a demanding environment. Perseverance is the foundation of realizing a growth mindset, which will be a key asset for you in the years to come. It becomes the basis for continued development long after the coursework ends. As you sat in teams with classmates from different countries, different disciplines, and different ways of thinking, and you still had to produce, you learned to work across differences, appreciate new ideas, and respect other points of view. That experience plants the seeds of empathy, and empathy leads to genuine collaboration. Collaboration is one of the most significant skills you can carry forward from this experience. When you felt humbled by the intellect and ability of those around you, you were cultivating intellectual humility, a character trait that has driven all meaningful learning throughout human history and will serve you well in whatever comes next. Determination, perseverance, empathy, personal responsibility, discipline, and intellectual humility. These characteristics are often overlooked. They don't appear in a balance sheet or an income statement. They're difficult to measure and even to observe in ourselves. But if you reflect on this past year or two, you will recognize how your character has been shaped. These are among the most valuable things you carry out of here today because the returns to this type of learning are infinite. You chose to earn a degree at an institution that celebrates Andrew Carnegie's motto, "My heart is in the work." You've worked hard. These programs are not easy. You could have chosen a different path, but by choosing this one, you have built a foundation of learning, discipline, and capability that will compound over time. I hope these thoughts have been useful in highlighting how this credence good, this intensive graduate experience has changed you. I have attempted to offer a final lesson, but the truth is, you are the ones who have inspired me. Watching these cohorts navigate a demanding curriculum while managing the complexities of your lives has been genuinely inspiring. Thank you for choosing the Tepper School, and I applaud you all in this great accomplishment. Please join me. And because no one achieves greatness alone, I would like to congratulate all the parents, partners, families, friends, and guests of our graduates. You know better than anyone what this year or two has demanded. The late nights, the distracted phone calls, the support given freely without complaint. Today belongs to you as well. With that, I would like to ask the class of 2026 to join in a round of applause for those who helped make this day possible. We're just waking up the hands. There's going to be a lot of applause today. Now, class of 2026, take a good look around at everyone here, your classmates, your friends, those you met in the first week and built something alongside over the months that followed. Breathe in the energy and excitement of this day that marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of the next. As you join our global alumni network, remember that while your degree opens doors, it is the integrity and relationships you fostered here that will keep them open. We know that the faculty and staff at the Tepper School played an important role in your experience and success. I would like to offer you a moment to thank those who are with us today. Will the faculty on stage please rise? Senior Associate Dean of Education, Professor of Economics, Lawrence Allis. Senior Associate Dean Faculty, Richard C. Green, Professor of Financial Economics, Dwayne Seppi. Carnegie Bosch Professor of Operations Research, Willem Jan van Hove. Dempo Professor of Operations Research and Computer Science, R. Ravi. Associate Professor of Financial Economics, Chris Telmer. Associate Teaching Professor of Business Analytics, Benjamin Collier. Associate Teaching Professor of Business Communication and Acting, David Charles Goyette. Associate Teaching Professor of Business Management, Communication, Director of Learning, Evaluation and Success, Clara Burke. Associate Teaching Professor of Business Strategy, David Lamont. Assistant Teaching Professor of Business Communications, Emily Dejoux. Executive Director of MSCF, Robert Simon. Executive Director of MSBA and MSM, Kathleen Conway. Executive Director of MSPM, Brad Iben. And Adjunct Instructor of Business Management, Michael Alaruzo. Will all the Tepper staff and volunteers with us today who are in the audience also please rise as well? Thank you. Candidates, esteemed colleagues, and distinguished guests, it is now my distinct pleasure to introduce our Dean. Dr. Isabelle Bajou is Dean of the Tepper School of Business and the Richard P. Simmons Professor of Finance. A widely regarded leader in academia, finance, and interdisciplinary education, she joined us in the fall of 2020 from McGill University in Montreal, where she had served as the Dean of Faculty of Management. Born in Paris, she holds a doctorate from the University of Paris-Dauphine. Dean Bajou's term as Dean of the Tepper School ends with this academic year, at which time she will join the faculty as a Professor of Finance. Her tenure as Dean has been remarkably impactful, and her leadership of the Tepper School has been characterized by an emphasis on interdisciplinary education and collaborative research. During her tenure, Dean Bajou has launched our strategic plan to propel the Tepper School into the intelligent future and supported the launch of Tepperspectives, our thought leadership website and podcast to broaden the reach and impact of our faculty's research. Her many accomplishments also include establishing a diversified portfolio of master's degree programs, many of which you are the recipients of, successful stewardship of the school's financial resources, which is a great accomplishment, and recruitment of 35 tenure track and teaching track faculty who will provide the school's intellectual foundation in the future. In addition, more than 3,600 students have graduated from our PhD, master's, and undergraduate programs during her time as the Dean. As we welcome Dean Isabelle Bajou to this podium, please join me in a round of applause in recognition of her leadership of the Tepper School.
Thank you, Dr. R, for this very gracious introduction. It is a great pleasure to be here today to celebrate the graduates of the Tepper School's specialty master's programs. Today, we celebrate your hard work and dedication to your studies. This ceremony is, as Dr. Hall said, especially meaningful to me as it is my final commencement as Dean of the Tepper School. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to have served in this role and to have shared in the celebrations of the past 5 graduating classes. As master students at the Tepper School, you harnessed your ambition and embarked on a graduate school journey unlike any other. You juggled classes and school projects with work and personal life, and through it all, you excelled. We are living in a world marked by rapid technological change, political uncertainty, shifting economic landscapes, and complex business challenges. the very nature of business is evolving at an unprecedented pace. However, it is precisely in this environment that the Tepper School distinguishes itself. We do not just equip you with knowledge, we empower you with the tools and mindset to strive amidst uncertainty. Your time here has been more than mastering frameworks and theories. It has been about developing the analytical rigor, the data-informed decision-making, and the innovative spirit necessary to navigate a complex and uncertain world. You have learned to leverage the power of data, technology, and artificial intelligence to solve real-world problems. You have honed your ability to collaborate and lead diverse teams. And you have cultivated the resilience and adaptability required to embrace change and seize opportunities. The challenges you face will be significant, but so are the opportunities. The skills you have developed at the Tepper School, your ability to analyze, strategize, and lead are in high demand. You are prepared to not only adapt to the uncertainties of the future, but to shape it. You are ready to lead with confidence, innovation, and integrity, and to make a meaningful impact on the world. I can tell you for certain that our program is quite rigorous, and that those of you we are honoring today have worked extremely hard to meet our stringent demands. The accomplishments of the Tepper School are a testament to the incredible faculty we have here. Our faculty members are the bedrock of our institution, committed to academic excellence and dedicated to nurturing and guiding our students on their academic journey. They inspire excellence in every student they encounter, instilling in them the drive to pursue greatness and providing them with the tools to succeed. As I previously mentioned, my tenure as Dean will conclude next month, after which I look forward to returning to the faculty here at the Tepper School and being able to teach our amazing students. Equally integral to our success are our exceptional staff, who ensure the smooth functioning of our academic programs and administrative operations. Please give a round of applause to our staff. And let us not forget about the families and friends here today. Your unwavering support and encouragement have played an integral role in the achievements we celebrate today. Your guidance and example have paved the way for our graduate success, and for that, we thank you. Before I invite our guest speaker, David Betts, to the podium, I want to leave you with the inspiring words of Andrew Carnegie. Think of yourself on the threshold of unparalleled success. A whole, clear, glorious life lies before you. Carnegie's first point, you should view yourself on the threshold of unparalleled success, is a powerful reminder. We have prepared you for remarkable achievements. Do not dwell on past setbacks. See this moment as the launchpad for your potential greatness. Secondly, a whole, clear, glorious life lies before you. Paints a picture of a future filled with promise. Regardless of your path, your potential for greatness is within reach, waiting to be seized through determination. As you leave here, I hope you take with you the skills you have gained and continue to ask hard questions and seek out the answers that will make for the betterment of society. Remember, being an effective leader means creating a culture of continuous learning and development, where knowledge transfer and lifelong learning are a priority. I want you to be proud of what you have accomplished, and even more proud of what you will accomplish. Use sound judgment, as well as data, to lead others into the intelligent future. We did not just teach you about business intelligence, we taught you about intelligent business. Use those skills wisely, ethically, and responsibly. I offer my congratulations to each one of you and those who supported you along your journey and your graduation from the Tepper School of Business. We wish you the best in your careers and in your lives. And please stay connected with each other, with the Tepper School, and with Carnegie Mellon University. It is now my great honor to introduce our guest speaker today, David Betts. David is a retired healthcare leader, strategist, and innovator based in the Pittsburgh area. Over the course of more than 2 decades, he built his career at Deloitte Consulting, where he served as a principal and led national efforts in public health transformation. His research and client work focused on how to create a more human-centric healthcare ecosystem. He has been a champion for the needs of individuals with disabilities, particularly those with limited resources. Immediately prior to his retirement, he was responsible for building a new practice in public health transformation, serving the state, local, and higher education market. He's a noted author and speaker, having been published by the Deloitte Center for Health Solutions, the Wall Street Journal, and Modern Healthcare, among many others. In 2024, David was diagnosed with ALS and embraced the philosophy that our second life begins when we realize we only have one life to live. After his diagnosis, David developed Talk to Me, Goose, an AI-enabled application that gives people who have lost the ability to speak a clone to their own voice. David's efforts have helped to reconnect people with their loved ones and restore their ability to tell their own stories. Talk to Me, Goose earned international recognition at the Zero Project Awards in 2026, where he was invited to speak before the Austrian Parliament. He was one of just 75 individuals selected for that honor. David is a 2002 graduate of the Tepper School of Business, holds a Master of Fine Arts from the University of Texas, and a Bachelor of Arts in Theater from the University of California at Riverside. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming David Betts.
Thank you, Dean Isabel. And thank you to the class of 2026, and congratulations to you. 24 years ago, I had the privilege to sit in your seats and graduate from this amazing school. And now I'm grateful to you, Dean, and the faculty, and incredibly humbled to have the opportunity to spend today sharing a few thoughts with you about a little bit about my journey, in the hopes that perhaps it might inspire you to think differently about the journey that you're on. So you spent the last year or two doing something pretty remarkable. You've built a toolbox. And inside that toolbox are frameworks for managing complexity, tools for turning data into decisions, skills for leading teams, solving problems, things that didn't have obvious answers. You've worked hard for that toolbox. It's yours, and it's genuinely powerful. Here's what nobody tells you, though. The domains that you've been practicing in, the case studies, the capstones, the internships, those were known domains. It was familiar terrain. You had a map, even maybe when it felt like you didn't. But here's the truth about the rest of your life. At some point, that map disappears. At some point, the domain that you're operating in becomes completely unknown. The structure that you've been working within will dissolve, and you'll find yourself standing at the edge of something vast and completely uncertain, holding that toolbox, wondering if any of it still works. I know that moment because I've lived it. A few years ago, I was at what most people might call the top of my career. I'd spent decades building and leading businesses within the largest professional services firm in the world. I served healthcare clients across the country. I'd helped 5 million people get vaccinated during the pandemic. We started every morning looking at photos of people rolling up their sleeves, people getting back to their lives. That was the best, hardest work I had ever done. I had a clear domain. I had really sharp tools. I knew how to use them. And then I was diagnosed with ALS. ALS is a progressive neurological disease. There's no cure. It takes gradually, and then it takes quickly. The very things that you use to operate in the world, your hands, your voice, your movement, ultimately it takes your life. As a healthcare strategist, as a problem solver, as someone whose identity was built around doing, I was suddenly in a domain I had never studied. I had no map for this. So what do you do when the domain is unknown? Guess what? You open the toolbox. The tools don't care what domain you're in. Problem solving is problem solving. The ability to look at a hard constraint and ask what's possible here, that doesn't stop working just because the problem got personal. The instinct to build something, to move forward, to find purpose in the work, that transfers. So I built something. I invented an app called Talk to Me Goose. Some of you might recognize the name from the film. That focuses on giving people with ALS and other speech-limiting conditions the ability to capture and preserve their voice, their real voice, before it's gone. So they can keep reading bedtime stories to their kids. So they can say, I love you, in a way that sounds like them. The technology existed. I just had to apply it in a new way, in a completely new domain with the same tools I always had. That toolbox held. But I want to be honest with you about something, because I think it matters more than the inspirational part. I think it's just as important as the tools you have put in your toolbox. And it's this. It's the choice you make about how you show up and do the work with the tools you have in this amazing toolbox you assembled. Because I believe that how you show up, how you bring the tools that you have to work, to lead, is a choice that you get to make every day. And how you show up when life puts you somewhere unexpected and hard, that matters. So my physical therapist told me once about 2 patients he saw on the same day. One had a mildly sprained ankle, and she spent the entire session cataloging everything it had disrupted. Her schedule, her plans, her life. She was angry. She was irritated. She didn't have time for this. She had work to do. She made sure everyone knew it. The other, she was waiting for a double organ transplant. She showed up, she did the work, she moved forward as best she could. He called the first one a badge wearer. Not because her pain wasn't real, it was, but because she decided that the badge of her difficulty was the most important thing about her. It defined her. It preceded her into every room. The woman waiting for the transplant, she chose something different. She chose to carry her circumstances without letting them become her identity. Now, I'm not standing here to tell you that struggle isn't real or that you should pretend that hardship doesn't exist. I'm saying that you have the power over this. You have more power than you think. You get to choose whether to wear the struggle that you experience as a badge or not. I would argue that a badge is a burden, and carrying a burden takes energy. You can use that energy to carry the badge, or you can convert it into a fuel for a purpose. I choose fuel. Not because I'm heroic, but because I genuinely don't have the energy for anger, I don't have the time, and frankly, neither do you. You're graduating with an extraordinary education. You know how to manage products, you know how to analyze data, you know how to lead through ambiguity. Those skills are real and they will serve you. But the question that I want to ask you isn't, what remarkable things are you going to do with the tools that you put in your toolbox? The question I want you to think about is why? Why are you going to do these remarkable things? Find the thing that gives you purpose, not the thing that pays you the most. By the way, I hope it does both. Find the work where when it's hard, and it's gonna be hard, that you're still glad that you showed up. Where the impact that you're creating is the reason that you start every morning. Remember the photos I mentioned? The people rolling up their sleeves to get the shots in their arms? That was to remind us every day why we were working 90 hours every week. All right, find that thing for you. Because when the domain becomes unknown, and it will in this dynamic world, the purpose is what holds the toolbox together. So go build something that matters. And when you do, stay connected to one another. Stay connected to the school. It's been an absolute privilege to graduate from this university and to continue to serve on the board and stay connected to my colleagues and my friends. And I urge you to continue to do the same. Thank you to the faculty. Congratulations to you, and go do something remarkable.
Thank you, David. This was unforgettable. I deeply admire your courage in turning a difficult diagnostic into something that matters. Your message about choosing to convert your energy into purpose rather than a burden is powerful and clear. Thank you for sharing this with our graduates, and we wish you great success in your new venture. On behalf of our entire community, I would like to thank you for being with us today and to present you with the Tepper School of Business Award for Distinguished Alumni Speaker. We're pleased to honor your success and accomplishments. At this time, I would like to invite Professor Lawrence Allais, Senior Associate Dean Education and Professor of Economics, to the podium.
All right. Good morning. We now begin the presentation of faculty and student awards, followed by the presentation of diplomas to the graduates. The Dean's Award for Outstanding Teaching in the Master of Science in Business Analytics honors faculty teaching excellence and is determined by a vote of the students in the program. I'm happy to announce that the 2026 recipients of the MSBA Dean's Award for Outstanding Teaching is Professor Tim Ederer. Professor Ederer cannot be with us today, but please join me in recognizing Professor Ederer with another round of applause for this well-deserved award. The Dean's Award for Outstanding Teaching in the Master of Science in Management honors faculty teaching excellence, and it's determined by the students in the program. I'm happy to announce that the 2026 recipients of the MSM Dean Award for Outstanding Teaching is Professor Chris Stelmer. Professor Chris Stelmer teaches core finance in the MSM program. A common refrain from his class is the care and dedication to student success. I have a favorite quote. It's from a student that says, I would take a class called Watching Paint Dry if it was taught by Professor Talmer. So please join me in recognizing Professor Talmer, a teacher whose passion for teaching is matched only by his commitment to student success. Now, please join me in welcoming Professor Clara Burke, Associate Teaching Professor of Business Management Communication and Director of Learning Evaluation and Success, to the stage to acknowledge some of our students' award recipients.
Good morning. The Tepper School prides itself on its academic rigor. Some of our students distinguish themselves in the classrooms through their consistent, outstanding academic work. Those students will be graduating with university honors. We will recognize those students as they cross the stage during the awarding of degrees. We would like to recognize the following students who received awards in the MSCF program last December. These awards recognize students with the highest GPAs in the 4 disciplines of the MSCF program, and those who distinguish themselves through service to the program. As I call your name, please stand. Please hold your applause until I've announced all 5 awards. We will recognize all students standing at once. The recipient of the MSCF Mathematics Award is Jiani Wu. The recipient of the MSCF Statistics Award is Chutong Pu. The recipient of the MSCF Finance Award is Shini Ba. The recipient of the MSCF Programming Award is Saptarshi Kumar. The recipients of the MSCF Distinguished Service Awards are Nisha Sen and Claire Ching Dong. Congratulations to all of you on your achievements. Congratulations. Next, I'd like to recognize the Outstanding Academic Achievement Awards for the MSBA, MSM, and MSPM programs. These awards are given for exceptional and consistent academic performance. Will the following students please join us on stage? Cheryl Jennings, Xingyi Yu, and Mukul Lal. The recipient of the Outstanding Academic Achievement Award in the MSBA program is Cheryl Jennings. The recipient of the Outstanding Academic Achievement Award in the MS program is Xingyi Yu. The recipient of the Outstanding Academic Achievement Award in the MSPA program is Mukul Lal. Congratulations to all of our award recipients. Your contributions have continued the tradition of academic excellence and service to the Tepper School community. We will now continue by awarding our master's degrees. We ask for your cooperation in allowing students to approach the stage, as well as leaving the aisles clear so all family and friends may have an unobstructed view. Please remain seated, taking any personal photographs. Out of respect for all of our graduates and their guests, we remind you to stay for the entirety of the ceremony. Our graduates will be acknowledged as a group at the conclusion of today's event.
I will now present the Masters of Science in Product Management candidates. Will the MSPM students please come forward to receive their degrees? Vrushul Sakarkar. Ankit Shukla. Ashwin Swaminathan. Himakar Y.V. Yanamardra. Navitida Yadav. Ronnie Kim. Aisha Lakra. Ram Kaushik Ramalingan. Graduating with honors, Ewen Tan. Angelica Chavez Solis. Charlene Lin. Graduating with honors, Mukul Lai. Graduating with honors, Hassan Pasha. Nikhil Madhurametla. Abdul Sheikh. Manasa Reddy Nandagama. Aminat Afonja. Aditya Teja Bimavarapu. Samuk Gadavil. Samuk Gadavili. Graduating with honors, Devisha Tayal. Tejas Sohani. Siddhant Sagar. Karun Kasba. Sriya Jashnani. Radhika Jain. Upasna Ahuja. Rupal Chauhan. Please join us in congratulating the MSPM class of 2026. I will now present the Masters of Science in Management candidates. Will the MSM students please come forward to receive their degrees. Nolan Casey. Kai Chen Han. Mingxi Hong. Ethan Zhu. Yihan Li. Riki Xiao. Qianwen Ha. Whit Conger. Harkamal Singh. Mitchell William Stokey. Jacob Charles Langdon. Ainsley Van Est. Caitlin Nimsky. Diogo Farias Tinoco. With university honors, Molly Majumdur. Taruni Dogola. Taruni Dogola. Manus Fanse. Pranav D. Nair. Ashlyn Chi Garcia. With university honors, Qingyi Yu. Jiaxin Qian. Vidushi Bansal. Gary Lee. Chiachi Susan Lin. With university honors, Tsu Yun Su. An Ki Win. With university honors, Chloe Xu. Mei Xiang Yu. Rui Tian Zhang. Wendy Wang.
Yeah, the typeface this time is very clear. I's and L's are hard to distinguish. It's very spotty and small.
Please join us in congratulating the MSM class of 2026. I will now present the Master of Science in Business Analytics candidates. Will the MSBA students please come forward to receive their degrees? Zekai Li. Victory Ilam Iyam. Mariam Dan Soto. Hamna Asif. Pradnya Ravi Desurkar. Vanisha Gupta. Natasha Niranjan. Anamisha Gade. Shijie Yu. Claire Lee. Xinyue Pu. With university honors, Cheryl Jennings. With university honors, Allison Johnbron. Mika Ishida. Vivian Zhou. With university honors, Sarah Kay. Era Ludwig. Bhargavai Kaulage. Francis Lee. With university honors, Aiko Kikuchi. Akash Minisha Viles Parte. Syed Mehdi Abbas. With university honors, Dia Imam. Hamza Al-Saloon. Viharika Mandapa Apanaravanda. Nikita Rajesh Sarin. Shahrukh Adil. Michelle Wu. Aishwarya Narayan. Sadgi Pandey. With university honors, Ifi Enwezor. With university honors, Carson Ward. Kathy Schaefer. Rob Springett. Vikram Chasti. Arshia Eric Sabdar. Sushen Penakalapati. Swarnadip Bhattacharya. Nasha Pandey. No, Niha Pandey. Gitanjali Roy. Amitesh Mohan. Sarah Lee. Yichia Pan. Samuel Quincy Aduse. Zachary Moskowitz. Ashutosh Malik. Kushi Kumar. Simona Di Mello. With university honors, Abhishek Iyer. Abhishek Chabria. Ahmed Imtanan. Kirsan Nekanti. Sahil Patkar. Chaitanya Kumar Soma.
CR?
C.R. Dhruv. Colin Elder. With university honors, Tarun Garg. Ayushi Patel. Anushka Chaudhry. Sharanya Shetty. Aditi Besani. Sriya Vangala. Deepak Reddy. Yibin Lee. Janet Liu. Zijin Yin. Lydia Su. Yide Liu. Yuan Meng. Mingyong Zhao. With university honors, Quentin So. Zihang Wu. Bodong Chen. Chloe Wang. Jiayu Lu. Yu Xiong. Yiran Lillian Ren. Peyton Megan Chen. Toto Nguyen. Cool Zhao. Junpei Wang. Celeste Yo Zhu. Kevin Wang. Jihang Chen. Xiao Guangjun. Andy Zhang. With university honors, Tianyi Li. Raymond Tuo. Daniel Yu. Pei Yuan Yu. Yifei Yuan. Nolan Gao. Jonathan Brighton. Carlos Ramirez.
Zichi.
Zichi Niu. Xiaoqian Yan. With university honors, Aaron Cole. Vivek Palasena Sriram. Sirav Dar. Brendan Bourget Savigny. Danielle Cisse Bekele. Ethan Dehao Wong. Anastasia Rajanovich Rachevich. Tiffany Tan Nguyen. Ilya Kiamen Laborn. Kate Stamper. Kennedy Black. Catherine Tate Cornell. Yin-Shi Chen. Han Sun. Rachel Zhang. Yu-Chin Chi. Karina Zhang. Kiki Kao. Gladys Kwon Chung Lee. Lucia Lin. Pim Chanok Kamdecha. Watanai Tipsanathporn. Valia Kavrakis. Marie Ngobo Ekambi. Thomas Liu. Stephen Shen. With university honors, Hugo Osinga. Rinki Hirabayashi. Alicia Wang. David Fabionic III. Xinyu Chen. Carrie Wong. Ho Chun Kim. Ethan Kwon. Ji-hoon Jung. Kit Kulachad. Please join us in congratulating the MSBA class of 2026. I will now present the Masters of Science in Computational Finance candidates. Will the MSCF students please come forward to receive their degrees? With university honors, Saptarshi Kumar. Moisha Kesselman. Michael Ryan Long. Brian Edward McSweeney. Akash Hariprasad Mankude. With university honors, Ari Jacob Zeldenrich. Jifan Christopher Fung. Tristan Romer. Anastasia Natalie Pavlova. Junhan Khan. Mario Nicolo Di Matteis. Srinaga Chikoti. Rushin Kwan. Xiao Tong Cao. Yu Chi Wang. Xianyang Ru. Yi Chun Sun. Lu Ming Yang. Xinran Li. Soan Chi. Yi Hong. Daniel Koe Dunaiske Figueira Leal. Lorena Rodriguez Pineda. Divya Koratkar Bilolaikar. Nisha Malika Shen. Ishuk Wang. Xinyi Ba. Yawen Wang. Li Zhu. Mitchell P. Roy. Wen Yuan Tang. Xing Dong. Huao Shen. Shi Hong Wang. Kairu Shah. Benjamin Thomas Swanson. Swarnava Sarkar. Thomas Arellano Horstkamp. Yiruo Li. Somil Banerjee. With university honors, Aditya Vardhan Narayan. Vignesh Raja Suresh Babu. Lisha Jai. Ling Hui Guang. Hai Jin. Yifeng Wang. John Lin. Bo Pei Nie. Suhail Khan. Humming Huang. Jiaxing Song. Please join us in congratulating the MSCF class of 2026.
All right, found it. Today's ceremony underscores the immense pride we have in each of you. As you leave here today, each of us, from faculty, administration, and staff, sends our best wishes for success in all you do. You are now members of the alumni community of the Tepper School of Business and Carnegie Mellon University. Your time as a student has concluded, but you are alumni forever. We hope that you will stay connected with your friends and classmates, with your advisors and faculty, and with the Tepper School. The deep relationships you have formed here will serve you throughout your lifetime. During your time at the Tepper School, some of you may have come to think of Pittsburgh as a second home, while others joined us from afar or experienced the program in different ways. You may be aware that there is a long-standing tradition in Pittsburgh sports to wave towels to rally our teams. In the spirit of Pittsburgh, we are bringing this tradition to you as one last collective experience for our graduating class. As you exited the stage, you received a Tepper towel. I now invite the graduate and members of our platform party to rise and wave your Tepper towels in celebration. Mine's on my chair. There's a real art to waving it and not having it collapse on your hand. It's a very important skill. We can keep working on it. Thank you for joining us today. This concludes the 2026 diploma ceremony. As we begin the recessional, I'd like to ask the graduates to allow the faculty and administrators on stage to exit first. Graduates, please stay seated and wait for directions from program staff to pick up your diplomas or to exit the auditorium. Guests, please stay seated and you will be directed to leave out the back doors once the students disperse. Once again, to all our graduates, congratulations. Thank you for joining us here today.